In this video, we are going to talk about naming haloalkanes, or hydrocarbons that have halogens attached to them. So let's start with this example. How would you name this compound? So there are two ways we can count it. We can count it, the carbons, from left to right, or we could count it from right to left. If we count it from left to right, the bromine is going to be on carbon number 2, and if we count from right to left, the bromine is going to be on carbon number 3. We always want the substituents, in this case bromine, to be on the lowest number carbon possible. So we're going to go with this one. So we would write the position of the substituent and the name for it. So this is bromo, 2-bromo, and since we have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons in this chain, it is going to be called butane. So this is 2-bromo butane, one word, and you separate the number from the letters with a hyphen. Now let's work on this example. How would you name this compound? So we could count it, the carbons, from right to left, but then we're going to get the substituents are going to be on 4 and 5, but if we count it from left to right, the substituents are going to be on 2 and 3. So we want the 2 and 3, so we're going to count from left to right. So actually we can keep those. We have 6 carbons, so this is going to be hexane, and we have 2 chlorine substituents, and they're going to be on position 2 and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and write 2, 3 hyphen, and then we're not going to write chlorohexane, we're going to write dichlorohexane. So you add this prefix when you have 2, and then when you have more than one substituent, you want to indicate the position and separate out the numbers with a comma. And make sure you write the numbers in increasing order. So don't write 3, 2 dichlorohexane, you're going to write 2, 3. Now let's look at this example here. Let's say we have bromine and we have chlorine. Which way do we start counting on this one? Do we go from right to left, or do we go from left to right? Well, let's actually try both and see which one is correct. So if we count from left to right, we can see that bromine is on position 2 and chlorine is on position 4. And we have 5 carbons, so this is going to be pentane. Now the reason why we put bromo before chloro is because B comes before C in the alphabet, and we always want to alphabetize the substituent names. So that's why we put bromo before chloro. If we count from right to left, as I'm going to do on the right side, chlorine is going to be on position 2 and bromo is going to be position 4. So it would be 4-bromo, 2-chloropentane. Now which one would be the best answer? if both of the choices are alphabetized, so if both of them are in the correct alphabetical order, you want to choose the one that starts with the lowest number. So here it's increasing number order, so it's going from 2 to 4, but here it's going from 4 to 2. You want to choose the one that is in the increasing number order. So the best answer is this one. Now let's say we have this right here. How do we name this molecule? So if we count from right to left, fluorine is on position 2, but if we count from left to right, fluorine is going to be on position 5. We want it to be on 2, not 5, because 2 is lower. So we count from right to left. We have 6 carbons, so that's going to be hexane. And fluorine is on position 2, so it's going to be 2. And then you're going to write fluoro with a U after the L, before the R, and then it's going to be one word. Let's try an example where we have a double bond. So in this case, when we're counting the carbons, do we prioritize the fluorine or do we prioritize the double bond? So we always want to make sure we prioritize the double bond or the alkene. So it's going to go from left to right. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we do from right to left, the double bond is going to get a higher number, and we don't want that. So we have 5 carbons, so this is going to be a pent, but since we have a double bond here, it's going to be a pentene. That's why it's called an alkene. Now, the double bond is in between 1 and 2, but we always want to go with the lower number, so we're going to go with 1. So 1 pentene is going to be the name of the main chain, and then for the substituent, which is fluorine, it's on carbon 4. So go ahead and write 4 fluoro, another hyphen, 1 pentene. In the next example, we're going to have a ring. Now, that looks like a bit of a bloated ring, so let's just... there. And let's say we have an iodine on the ring. How are we going to name this molecule? So you don't necessarily need to count it, but we have 6 carbon atoms, so it's going to be hexane, but it's in a ring. They're all connected some way. So it's going to be a cyclohexane, therefore. Sorry. Now we have an iodine, and so we're going to start the name with iodo cyclohexane, and this should all be one word. Now you don't really need to know a number, put a number for this, because when you have one substituent on a ring, it's assumed that it's always going to be at number 1. So you don't need to put a number for the iodine. In the next example, let's try something with bromine. How do we name this one? So we have an ethyl, and then we have a bromo. So how do we start counting? Do we start counting on the ethyl or the bromo? So we want to start counting with the one that has the lower alphabet if it's not going to make a difference in the number order. So we're going to go with the bromine, and then the ethyl is going to be number 2, and we're going to have 5 carbons. So since we have 5 carbons, it's going to be pentane, but it's going to be in a ring, so it's cyclopentane. And we have B comes before, I'm so sorry, my computer is messing up. B comes before E in the alphabet, so it's going to be 1 bromo, 2 ethyl, cyclopentane. The next example, we have a 6-membered ring, and we have a bromine, and we have a chlorine. How do we go about naming this one? How do we start counting? So you might say in the last example we started counting a bromine because it was the first one in the alphabet and we could do that. However, in this one, if we start counting a bromine, you can see the numbers for the substituents are higher. So if we start at bromine and go toward the chlorine, the substituents beside bromine are going to be on positions 3 and 4. However, if we start counting at the methyl right here, then the substituents, actually let's keep those blue ones in there. Substituents beside the first one are going to be on 2 and 4. And 2 and 4 is better than 3 and 4 because 2 is less than 3. So we're going to start at methyl, and then we're going to go toward the chlorine and the bromine. Now this is going to be let's write it in white, cyclohexane, because we have 6 carbons in total. And then the first substituent that we're going to write, so let's write out all the substituents. So we have 1 bromo, actually incorrect, we have 1 methyl, that is right here on position 1. We have 2 chloro, and we have 4 bromo. When we write these out in the name, we want them to be in alphabetical order. So out of M, C, and B, which one is first in the alphabet? So B is. So we're going to go with bromo first. And then the next in the alphabet is C. So we're going to go with 2 chloro. And then I'm running out of space, so I'm going to move everything to the left. We have 1 methyl. Cyclohexane. So that's how we name this 6-membered ring. Let's go through another similar example. This time we're going to have the chlorine here. The bromine is going to be on top again. And then we're going to have an ethyl to the left. How do we name this particular compound? In order to get the numbers the lowest possible, we don't really want to start at chlorine and then go like this, because that would mean that the bromine is going to be on number 6. We don't want to do this as well. We want to go like this, or like this. But which one do we choose? So if we go with chlorine first, chlorine is with C. So it's going to be, this is chloro, and this is ethyl. So the one that comes first in the alphabet is going to be C. So as opposed to going the red way, like that, we're going to go the blue way like this. And we only do this when both situations would create the same numbers for the substituents, because either way we're going to have, as you can see, we're going to have 1, 2, and 3, and then the other one's going to be 1, 2, and 3. So first you prioritize the number when counting the carbons, and then you prioritize the alphabetical order. So we said that the blue one is the better one. So we're going to go ahead and go 1 chloro, 2 bromo, and then we have 3 ethyl. Alphabetically, we're going to start with bromine because B comes first in the alphabet out of all of these ones. So we start with 2 bromo, and then C is next in the alphabet, so 1 chloro, and then 3 ethyl, and this is going to be a ring with 6 carbons, and it has it's 6 carbons, so it's going to be cyclohexane. So that's how you name this one. For our last example, let's do a simple one. How do we name this molecule? And we can write the condensed structure as well, since bond line is a little awkward for this one. So we have 2 carbons, so that's ethane, and we also have bromine, so that's bromo. Now, do we need to write a number for bromo? In this case we don't, because even though bromo is on carbon 1 technically, if it was on the other carbon, if it was like, well, sorry, if the bromine was like this, we could just count it the other way. So instead of 1, 2, you could say 2, 1. So it would still be on carbon 1. So you don't need a number behind the bromo in this case. So that's the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. And thank you for watching.